moms and dads, and especially you kids, this weekend in our church service, we're actually having communion together. And we know sometimes there's questions and trying to understand what is communion and why do we have communion. So we thought we'd take this moment and make a short video for you guys to help you explain all about communion. So while it's happening in the service, you can understand and participate in it. So to help you explain and to understand about communion, we need to go back to the very first communion. And the first communion happened with Jesus. It was during his last meal with his disciples. And it was right before he was arrested and taken to the cross. And at supper, Jesus took the cup and he told them that it represents his blood. That's why we have a cup of juice at communion. And then he took a piece of bread and he told the disciples that the bread represents his body. So the cup represents Jesus' blood and the bread represents Jesus' body. As the disciples were eating the bread and drinking the cup, Jesus said at the end, "Do this in remembrance of me." Jesus broke the bread to give to his disciples because his body was about to be broken. And because his body was broken, they could be made whole. You know what? It's the same for you and me. When we eat the bread, we should remember that Jesus' body was broken for us. And because of that, we can have a relationship with Jesus, the best gift in the world. Jesus also wanted us to remember his blood that was shed on the cross, because God's word actually says to us that without the shedding of blood, there's no forgiveness of sins. The Bible also says that it's the cost of sin is death. So the only way to be forgiven of sin was to sacrifice something that was perfect. Jesus came as our perfect sacrifice. He shed his blood so that you and I can be saved from the penalty of sin. So when we drink of the cup, we should remember that it's only because of Jesus' blood that we are saved. Without Jesus' sacrifice, we would have to be separated from God forever because of our sin. That is why Jesus told us to do communion together, to remember Jesus, to remember the sacrifice that he did. The bread and the juice will help us remember every time that we take it, the sacrifice that Jesus made for you and for me, so that we can have a relationship with him now and forever. And that's, boys and girls, is why we take communion. And hopefully this weekend, as you watch and as you participate with your moms and dads, you'll understand a little bit more about why we take communion. God bless you.